Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a film from 2006. That movie is Live Freaky, Die Freaky. Now, I don't know a lot about this movie, guys. I know that it's a stop-motion movie, and stop-motion animation has always had a bit of a soft spot with me. And it's a musical. Okay, that sounds sort of interesting. And it has to do with Charles Manson. I'm going to say that again. This is a stop-motion musical about Charles Manson. That sounds awesome. I have high hopes going into this thing, but there is one thing that is slowly ruining this for me. At least sort of like mentally. It's kind of sort of filling me with just a little bit of dread. And I'm looking at the cast list as it's written on the back here. And I see members of a lot of bands I'm not a fan of. I'm seeing bands mentioned such as AFI and Good Charlotte and Green Day and Blink 182. Basically, bands who represent the shit-covered ass end of rock music. I'm hoping that their presence in this film does not ruin such an awesome concept. I'm certainly hoping that their presence doesn't ruin what I hope is a decent soundtrack. But the only way I'm going to find out, if the music in this thing is any good, the only way I'm going to find out if the movie itself is any good, is if I shut up and I push play. And I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Live Freaky, Die Freaky. You know, guys, I was really expecting a lot of things in this film, but I was not expecting hardcore stop-motion porn. That was nowhere near my mind when I started watching this, yet that's exactly what I'm getting, and it's incredibly unpleasant. You know, guys, this whole thing would probably be a little bit more tolerable if the acting was even partially good. My God, it literally sounds like every single actor took one shot at every line, and if it sucked, oh well, fuck it, put it in. And it really does make this whole thing just painful to sit through, guys. You know, guys, I really thought I would get used to the terrible stop motion in this film, but I just saw a shot where, like, every third frame, you could see the animator's hand as he was trying to pull it out of shot. That's awful, guys. That is just beyond cheap. And really, it just sort of shows me exactly how little effort they really put into animating all of this. And at least now I know that this is just a lazily made pile of fucking shit in terms of animation. It still though, is going to make this thing a pain in the ass to sit through, but at least now I know that nobody fucking cared. You know, guys, I understand this thing is supposed to be a comedy. I'm still waiting for it to get funny. I really am. I'm waiting for this fucking thing to make me smile. I'm waiting for one joke that isn't so painfully forced it hurts. I'm waiting for one line of dialogue that has even the slightest bit of wit in it. I'm waiting for something that I don't think is ever going to come. God damn it, this movie fucking sucks, man. Well, that was certainly insufferable. Well, guys, that was Live Freaky, Die Freaky. Let me shut that off. Oh, boy. Jesus Christ. Okay. Where the hell to start? Alright. I know exactly where to start. So, when I started this video, I told you guys that the one thing I was dreading was the music. Because I looked at the cast list, and they list off a bunch of bands that I think are complete crap. I really thought it was going to poorly reflect upon the music. Actually, the music is one of the only positives I can give this movie. You see, guys, one thing that a musical has to have, I mean, I have yet to find a musical that doesn't have this. The songs have to be catchy. They have to be catchy, they have to be kind of memorable. well, these aren't exactly memorable, but they are certainly catchy. And the songs were in each of the songs, and there really aren't many songs with vocals in this film. But each song got stuck in my head for about 5 minutes. So, hey, you know what? At least we had that. And I didn't mind them being there. The music in this film is pretty fucking good. Which, apparently this thing is supposed to have a soundtrack, but, yeah, I'm not seeing a soundtrack in here. That actually is a little bit of a letdown. But anyway, yeah, music here is pretty good. It's not fucking great, but it's certainly better than I thought it was going to be. And it, unfortunately, guys, like I said, that is the one positive I can give to this movie. Well, no, maybe not. There is one more thing. Let's touch on the writing. The writing is not that positive, I'm going to tell you that right now. First of all, I have a question. How hard would it have been to tell even a fictionalized version of the fucking Charles Manson murders, you know, and make it interesting? How difficult is that? Apparently, it's fucking challenging because the people who wrote this failed. All right, one of the big reasons is the dialogue seems as if it was written by a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old who just recently learned the words cock, smegma, fuck, and shit. Oh, and they also recently learned of head cheese that gets referenced way too often in this movie. Swear to God, guys, dialogue just drags on. And as somebody who swears quite often, the foul language in this thing felt overly forced. And it's like the writers only fucking know how to refer to a penis as a cock. And one time I believe there was a character who referred to it as a pole. But otherwise it's always cock. It's always cock and nothing else. Guys, there are hundreds of different synonyms for dick you could totally use. But why focus only on cock? Why is it that when the cops finally find the Manson family in the bottom of this deep, deep hole, no, I don't know why the fuck they were in the hole, the movie never bothers to explain. And they're talking about shit and cocks for like a minute, and it's in no way funny. Now, not only do we have dialogue that is just absolutely creatively dead, our characters are absolutely lifeless. Okay, so Sharon Haight, yes, they actually changed the names of everybody, so instead of Sharon Tate, they changed it to Sharon Haight. Ooh, creative! Kind of like how it's not Charles Manson, it's Charlie Hanson. Apparently the writer had a big fixation on the letter H. Anyway, so Sharon Haight has a friend who's with her in her car and is in the house when the family comes and kills her. And his one lone trait, besides being Sharon Haight's friend, is that he's gay. Do you want to know how I can tell that he's gay? Because the movie tells you in the most subtle fashion. By having him talk exclusively about sucking, about sucking dick and getting fucked by every man he meets. That honest to God, guys, that is all of his fucking dialogue, is him talking about all of his gay sexual encounters. It's like, okay, yeah, we get it, he's gay. Do you have anything else? I mean, I totally understand that he has to die. But can we get a little bit more depth beyond that? Can we get a little bit more depth beyond Sharon Haight is a vapid, shallow bitch who's pregnant but isn't showing because she's on a massive diet and doing loads of blow? Can we get a little more depth there? Can we get a little bit more character depth to Charlie's family outside of it's Charlie's family? You seriously want depth? I have depth. A big fuck off hole for them all to be in randomly. That really is about the only depth anyone gets here. Oh boy. The only character who's in any way interesting is Charlie. And even then, a whole lot of Charlie's dialogue is crap, save for the big monologue at the very end in the fucking courtroom. And, you know, guys, the writing is just that lifeless. There was no way in hell I was expecting the fucking acting to be any good. But you know what? I was at least hoping for the actors to fucking try. And we don't get that here. Allow me, first of all, to kind of set the stage for the early parts of the film. For some reason, we start in the year 3000 something or other, and the Earth is completely wiped out, and there are nomads who are prowling the fucking Earth and are eating pigs because apparently humans don't eat pigs ever. And he stumbles upon a book. The book is Helter Skelter. So now he's reading about the Manson family murders, and there's no reason for any of that to be there except for the very end when the fucking nomad finishes reading it. He then carves an X into his forehead and proclaims that Charlie Manson is the fucking Messiah, and he's going to take Charlie's message to his people so they can kill every other rival tribe and rule the wasteland of Southern California. That, honest to God, is the only reason why all of that is there. Well, there is also the fact that we have this horrific narrator who sounds as if he had never read the script until he was forcefully pushed into the fucking booth and then given the script and told, you get one shot at this shit. In fact, there's how everybody sounds. Almost everybody sounds as if they were just pushed into the fucking booth and they were given the script. They were given no time to actually read it over, figure out how to read the line correctly. So everybody sounds as if they have no clue what the fuck is being said. Almost every line of dialogue is either completely lifeless or sounds as if it's supposed to end with a question mark, because the actors have no fucking clue. The actors have none. The only person who sounds even marginally good in this film in terms of acting is Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day. He is the voice of Charlie Manson. And he actually puts some fucking effort in. He actually tries, and he stands out. He stands out as the one lone shining beacon in this vast wasteland of awful acting. And he shines at the very end when Charlie Manson has to give his closing statement in the courtroom. And it's this long, drawn-out speech, which actually sounds like something that Charles Manson may have actually said. I'm not totally sure. And Billy Joe absolutely knocks it out of the fucking park. He absolutely rocks as Charlie Manson. Unfortunately, barring that one speech, almost all of his other dialogue is shit. Okay, it is. It's terribly, terribly written. And yet still, even though all of his other dialogue is hideously written, Billy Joe Armstrong still turns in a fantastic showing. And you know, I despise Green Day so much, I was terrified of the thought of Billy Joe Armstrong attempting to act. And what do you know? He's the only one who fucking could. Holy shit. I mean, I guys had hopes that the Go-Go's Jane fucking Weedland could have done something. I think she's the voice of Squeaky fucking Frome, or Squeaky Home is probably the name that they were going for again, because the writer just said, no, everybody's name has to fucking start with H. Why? Fuck you, that's why. So we have Jane fucking Weedland as Squeaky, and I know that Jane Weedland can act. I've heard her act in the past. So I thought maybe we would get something. When I saw her in the cast list, when I found out that she was Squeaky, I thought we were going to get something. And Squeaky Frome is almost non-existent in this film. And so Jane Weedland's talents are wasted. Unfortunately, speaking of wasted, she sounds wasted every single time she opens her mouth and she reads off a line. Again, though, that is probably because she was sort of tossed into the booth and had no time to actually read over the fucking script and figure out how the hell she was supposed to sound. And that really, guys, is the one problem. Our entire cast could probably have turned in something great. Billy Joe Armstrong probably worked out because he probably has a little bit of experience in improv. I'm just going to assume, because when you have that kind of a background, you can totally take dialogue, and on one single reading, you can make it sound at least passable. That is just a hunch. I have no earthly clue. There are probably a handful of Green Day fans who can tell me all about the life story of Billy Joe Armstrong. It really doesn't matter to me much. The acting here is awful, but that's, I think, because our director didn't fucking care. A lot of that shows in our animation. Guys, I understand that this is a stop-motion film. I understand it was a low-budget stop-motion film. So I was in no way expecting something that looked like it came from Will Vinton. I wasn't expecting something that looked like it came from Aardman. I wasn't expecting something that looked like it came from Rankin Bass. I was at least expecting something that looked passable. And we don't get that here. We have mouth movements that barely match what is being said. And when I say that, guys, what I mean by that is we have characters' mouths that will randomly open and close, but they have no dialogue. At the same time, we will have characters who have dialogue, but their mouths aren't fucking moving at all. Like, okay, so our main character here is fucking Haiti. Again, her name was like Sadie something. You actually hear her name early on, and then Charlie goes, "No, your name is Haiti." She is essentially our narrator, barring the narrator in that idiotic, it is the year 3000 something bullshit. In the flashback and all the shit that happens within the proper story, she is our narrator. And she's being interrogated by these two pigs. I just still don't fully understand. Well, I guess because the Manson family scrawled pigs on people's walls and shit. Anyway, and she's sitting there, like, she's sitting there, like, shaved head and the fucking, like, X carved on her forehead, and she's sitting there, like, rocking back and forth, and the shadow is, like, bouncing everywhere, and her mouth is randomly flapping even though she isn't talking. It looks really fucked up. Something else that looks awful, and this is something that, god damn it, I really thought that stop motion had fucking worked out of its system in the 50s. When you're doing stop motion, and you have little things like clothing and hair, you want to make sure that all of that stays uniform from frame to frame, okay? You cannot have one frame, the clothing looks like this, and then the next frame it looks like this, and expect it to fucking work. It doesn't. Yet that is exactly what happens here. The worst instance of it is when Charlie has on his, like, ritual robe, or whatever the fuck it was supposed to be, and he's given this big speech to the family. And his robe is absolutely spazzing. It's basically doing this as he is doing the speech. It looked terrible. It looked fucking awful. And I am not exaggerating that. When we finally get to Sharon Hate's house, and her gay friend and her other friend are sitting there doing mountains and mountains of blow, like every third or fourth frame, you can see at the very edge of the screen a hand as it's trying to move out of shot before they shot the frame. It's very noticeable. It is so fucking distracting that I noticed it and felt the urge to comment. It isn't even a subtle thing. It's right the fuck there, man. The animation here is jerky. It's awful. Guys, I was hoping for animation along the lines of what Tool used in a bunch of their music videos in the fucking 90s, which was kind of sort of jerky but still looked really cool. This basically looks like somebody who saw that and said, I can totally do that in 3 minutes, and failed miserably at it. The animation is awful. Our sound mix is kind of sort of screwed up too, as we will have actors who will be speaking a couple of lines, but each line sounds as if it came from a different take, which tells me that they actually did do multiple takes, and this was still the best shit they had. And so we will have 3 different takes from 3 different sources. And the sound quality will jump from line to line. So it'll be perfectly clear this line, and then the next line there's this weird echo to it. And then it goes right back to normal on the third. It's weird, and it sounds awful. It's something that Any fucking simpleton with 2 minutes could have probably fixed, any decent sound engineer could have fixed that shit in 2 minutes, and they didn't bother. Ultimately, guys, Live Freaky, Die Freaky is a lazy pile of shit, and the only saving graces this thing has is the songs are kind of catchy, and Billy Joe Armstrong is awesome as Charles Manson. That's literally all this movie has. Can I possibly recommend it? Fuck no. No. You can do so much better. Guys, I want to see a good Charles Manson musical. That is a sentence I never thought I'd fucking say in my goddamned life. But after seeing this, I want to see a good Charles Manson musical. Something that's perhaps witty, funny, something that can claim to be a satire and actually be funny. Actually have some level of wit. Something that might be worth wasting 80 minutes of your goddamned life to watch. This is not that film. This thing is a lazily made, poorly made pile of garbage. I cannot recommend it now. I will not be able to recommend it tomorrow. This thing is an absolute letdown. Oh my fucking God. No, I am not recommending this. And if you guys can find the thing for free on, like, YouTube or Netflix, no, fuck it. Don't even fucking bother. Do not waste your time, please. This thing was terrible. If you really are curious, you can probably find the songs uploaded on to YouTube. You may be able to find Billy Joe's acting isolated in clips on YouTube. That's really that is all I can recommend. There's no way in hell I'm going to tell you to go out and watch this entire movie. It is that fucking terrible. There is no way. I'm actually kind of sorry I was interested in watching this in the first place, but then again, that's because I thought a stop-motion musical about Charles Manson, that has to be great. No, really fucking doesn't. Not when your filmmaker shits the fucking bed this goddamned badly. Now, because it's Fan Appreciation Month, Live Freaky, Die Freaky came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Roland. And you can find Roland's DeviantArt page. He actually wants me to do a shout-out for his DA page. I actually have it written down here. You can find his DeviantArt page at gearsx.deviantart.com. Dude, I thank you. I was really curious about this. And even though it totally sucked, I would not have known if you hadn't sent it in. And for that, I thank you. You're fucking awesome. Once more, that is gearsx.deviantart.com. Wow. I went into this hoping to see a great musical. And even though the songs were okay, the movie itself was a painful chore to get through. So I'm going to go find a better musical. Lord knows I've got plenty of them. Lord knows, hell yes I do. I can watch Poultrygeist. That's technically a musical. I can watch Rocky Horror. I can watch Repo. Shit, if I'm really feeling up for it, if I want something with a bit more of like a rock opera feel, I can totally dive into fucking Tommy. I've got plenty of options. I'm gonna go find one. Anything just to wash the taste of this shit out. Oh, dear God. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.